Welcome, seekers of the shadowy and strange, to another episode of What Dwells Beneath, where we journey into the heart of the morbid and the unknown. I'm your host, Perzival, guiding you through the labyrinth of true crime and paranormal mysteries that grip the soul and stir the imagination. Behind the episode is our producer, Neku. Whether you're tuning in from the comfort of your home or venturing into the night, we're here to unravel the tales that lurk just beyond the veil of everyday reality. Today's episode plunges into one of the most compelling abduction cases of the 20th century. It's a story shrouded in mystery and controversy, sparking debates, disbelief, and discussions across the globe. We're talking about the abduction of Travis Walton, a young logger from Arizona who vanished without a trace, only to reappear 5 days later after supposedly being abducted by extraterrestrial entities. This encounter believed the world in awe. On the cold evening of November 5th, 1975, Travis Walton and his 6 crewmates were wrapping up a long day of logging in the dense forest of the Apache Sturgereves National Forest. Little did they know that their lives were about to take a dramatic turn into the unknown. As they drove down a secluded forest road, they encountered a blinding light, a UFO hovering just above the trees. In an impulsive and fateful decision, Travis stepped out of the truck to get a closer look. What happened next would change Travis's life forever. Throughout this episode, we will descend into the details of Walton's harrowing experience, explore the impact it had on his life and the community, and sift through the myriad of theories and explanations that have emerged over the years. So dim the lights, settle in, and let your mind wander into the realms of the unexplainable. As we peel back the layers of this abduction case, remember, sometimes the most unsettling mysteries are not the ones that dwell in the dark corners of the world, but those that exist just beyond the boundaries of our understanding. Stay with us as we uncover the truth behind Travis Walton's abduction, right here on What Dwells Beneath. And now, let's begin. Before becoming embroiled in one of the most controversial and well-documented UFO abduction cases, Travis Walton led a relatively ordinary life in a small town called Snowflake, Arizona. Born on February 10, 1953, Travis grew up surrounded by the rugged beauty of the Arizona landscape. Snowflake, founded by the Mormon pioneers, was a community with deep-rooted traditions and a strong sense of camaraderie among its residents. Travis was known among his friends and family for his adventurous spirit and love for the outdoors. This deep connection with nature naturally led him to a career in logging, a demanding job that required strength, endurance, and a passion for the wilderness. Logging was not just a job for Travis. It was a way to immerse himself in the natural world he so cherished. Despite the physically taxing nature of his work, Travis was described as a kind-hearted and easygoing individual. He was well-liked in his community and had a close-knit group of friends who shared his enthusiasm for outdoor activities such as hiking, camping, and exploring the vast expanses of the Arizona wilderness. Known for his reliability and strong work ethic, Travis was someone his friends and family could always count on. Travis was part of a 7-man logging crew contracted by the U.S. Forest Service to thin the dense forest of the Apache National Forest. The crew was led by Mike Rogers, an experienced logger who had built a reputation for his expertise and leadership. Mike and Travis shared a deep bond that went beyond the professional relationship, forged through years of working together in the challenging environment of the forest. The logging crew consisted of 6 other men, each bringing their unique skills and personalities to the group. Other than Mike and Travis, we had Alan Dowles. Known for strong opinions and no-sense attitude, Alan was a tough individual who wasn't afraid to speak his mind. Despite his sometimes gruff exterior, he was reliable and a hard-working member of the crew. Then we had John Gillette, a quiet and reserved man. He preferred to keep to himself, but was always dependable when it came to getting the job done. His steady demeanor and unwavering commitment to his work made him a valued member of the team. After John, it was Kenneth Peterson. With an easygoing nature and a good sense of humor, Kenneth was often the one that lightened the mood during tough days. Steve Pierce was the youngest member of the crew. He was enthusiastic and eager to prove himself. Despite being relatively new to the team, he quickly earned the respect of his colleagues through his hard work and dedication. Dwayne Smith, a very thoughtful man, often served as the voice of reason within the group. He had a calm and balanced perspective, which helped in resolving any dispute or issues that arose. This diverse group of men had formed a strong bond through their shared experiences in the forest. Their work required not only physical strength, but also a deep sense of trust and cooperation. Facing the challenges and dangers of logging in the vast wilderness, they relied on each other for support and camaraderie. As a former firefighter, I understand these groups. These men were like brothers to each other. They were family. The setting for the events that would unfold on November 5th, 1975, was located in the Apache National Forest, a vast expanse of wilderness spanning over 2.7 million acres across east central Arizona and into western New Mexico. This forest is a land of rugged beauty, characterized by its dense pine and fir forests, open meadows, and pristine lakes. The Apache Sitgreaves National Forest is named after the Apache and Sitgreaves mountain ranges that rise majestically above the landscape, offering breathtaking views and a sense of awe-inspiring grandeur. The forest is home to a rich array of wildlife including deer, elk, black bears, and numerous bird species, making it a haven for nature lovers and outdoor enthusiasts. On the fateful day of November 5th, the logging crew had been working deep within this remote and serene setting. Their task was to thin the forest by removing dead and diseased trees, thereby reducing the risk of wildfires and promoting healthy growth. This work took them far from the nearest towns and highways, into the heart of the wilderness itself, where the silence was broken only by the sounds of nature and the rhythmic thud of their logging equipment. As the sun began to set, the crew packed up their gear and piled into Mike Rogers' truck for the drive back to Snowflake. The forest, now shrouded in darkness, took on an eerie quality as the shadows danced among the trees, and the cool night air settled in. It was during this drive that the crew would encounter something that defied explanation, an encounter that would change their lives forever and propel Travis Walton into the realm of the unknown. As Mike Rogers' truck rumbled down the narrow, bumpy forest road, the crew's conversation was abruptly interrupted by a suddenly inexplicable sight. In the distance, a bright light was seen through the trees, illuminating the forest with an unnatural glow. The men were obviously puzzled. They were intrigued and speculated on the source of the light. Was it a crashed aircraft, a forest fire, or perhaps something more mundane like hunters' lanterns? Curiosity got the better of them, and as they neared the light, it became evident that this was no ordinary phenomenon. The light was too bright, too steady, and too otherworldly to be easily explained. The truck came to a halt, and the men stared in stunned silence at the source of the light. It was a hovering, disc-shaped object suspended above the forest floor. The UFO emitted a soft, humming sound, and its surface glowed with an ethereal, pulsating light. Driven by curiosity, Travis Walton made a decision that would alter the course of his life. He opened the truck door and stepped out. He claims he was drawn towards the craft. His crewmates shouted after him, urging him to return to the safety of the truck, but Travis was already too captivated by the sight before him. As he approached the UFO, the air seemed charged with an electric intensity. He moved closer, his heart was pounding in his chest, each step taking him further into the unknown. The craft hovered silently, its light then bathed Travis in this otherworldly glow. Suddenly, a beam of blue-green light shot out from the underside of the craft, striking Travis and lifting him off the ground. The force of the beam sent Travis flying backwards, and he landed hard on the forest floor, motionless. His crewmates, witnessing the entire ordeal, were gripped by a paralyzing fear. The silence that flowed was deafening, broken only by the humming of the UFO. In a moment of panic and confusion, the crew made a quick decision. They fled the scene, convinced that Travis has been killed by the mysterious beam of light. Mike Rogers, his hands trembling on the steering wheel, sped down the forest road, the men in the truck struggling to make sense of what they just witnessed. After driving for a short distance, Mike's consciousness got the better of him. He couldn't just abandon his friend in the forest, no matter how terrifying the situation. He stopped the truck and, after a tense discussion, convinced the others to return to the site and search for Travis. When they returned to the clearing, the UFO was gone, and there was no sign of their friend. The men searched the area frantically, calling out his name and scanning the forest for any trace of him. But the beam of light and the strange craft had vanished, leaving nothing behind but an eerie silence and a lingering sense of dread. With no sign of Travis, the fear started to build. The crew returned to Snowflake to report the incident to the authorities. They arrived at the local sheriff's office, their faces pale and their voices trembling as they recounted the bizarre events of the evening. The authorities were initially skeptical, suspecting foul play or a hoax, but the genuine fear and distress of the crew members couldn't be easily dismissed. The sheriff, along with several deputies, accompanied the crew back to the site of the encounter to conduct a thorough search. They combed the area for hours, but there was no trace of Travis, no footprints, no sign of struggle, nothing to suggest where he might have gone. The authorities widened their search, enlisting volunteers from the community to help scour the forest. Over the next few days, the search efforts intensified, with helicopters, dogs, and ground teams covering every inch of the forest. The community was gripped by a mixture of fear and curiosity as rumors and speculations about Travis Walton's disappearance spread like wildfire. Some believed he was abducted by aliens, while others suspected foul play by the logging crew. To further complicate matters, the crew members were subjected to polygraph tests to determine if their story was true. The tests revealed that the men were telling the truth about what they had witnessed, but this did little to stop the growing controversy. The media caught wind of the story, and soon, the small town of Snowflake found itself at the center of a national frenzy. Days turned into nights, and hope began to wane. The search for Travis seemed increasingly futile. The crew members faced suspicion from both the authorities and the public. Despite the skepticism, the men stood by their account, insisting on what they witnessed was real and that Travis had indeed taken something beyond their understanding. After 5 agonizing days, the phone rang at the Rogers household. It was Travis. His voice was weak and disoriented, calling from a payphone nearby in the town of Heber. He had no memory of how he had gotten there or what happened during the days he was missing. The only thing he knew was he needed help. Mike Rogers and the crew members raced to Heber, finding Travis in a dazed and confused state. He was physically unharmed but clearly traumatized by the entire ordeal. As they brought him back to Snowflake, the mystery of his disappearance only deepened, and the questions about what happened during those 5 lost days loomed large. In the days that followed, Travis would recount an experience so extraordinary and otherworldly that it defied belief. His story would become a cornerstone of UFO abduction lore, sparking debates and discussions that continue to this day. But on that fateful night of November 5th, 1975, the only certainty was the fear and confusion that gripped the logging crew as they grappled with the encounter that would change their lives forever. So, what did happen to Travis? Let's go back to the night of the abduction. When Travis Walton regained consciousness, he found himself in an entirely unfamiliar and disorienting environment. As his senses slowly returned, he realized he was lying on a hard, inclined surface, surrounded by a suffocating atmosphere of dim light and stillness. Panic surged through him as he tried to make sense of his surroundings. It was then that he noticed the figures standing around him, figures unlike anything he had ever seen before. The beings were small, around 4 to 5 feet tall. Their heads were large, much larger than normal compared to their little bodies. Dark eyes that seemed to absorb all the light. Their skin was pale, almost translucent, and they wore tight-fitting metallic suits. Travis's initial reaction was one of terror. He was convinced he was in the presence of something not from this world, something far beyond human comprehension. Driven by a surge of adrenaline, Travis lashed out, struggling to free himself from the surface on which he lay. His moments were sluggish, as if they were fighting against the invisible force. The beings, seemingly unfazed by his resistance, stared at him with unsettling calmness. Travis's fear turned into desperation, and he managed to push himself onto the surface, staggering to his feet. In a frantic attempt to escape, Travis grabbed a nearby instrument, something resembling a glass rod. To his surprise, they recoiled and retreated, allowing him to move away from the inclined surface. He stumbled through the room, searching for an exit, his heart pounding through his chest. The room itself was alien in every sense of the word. It was devoid of any recognizable features, filled with strange, glowing panels, and intricate machinery that seemed to hum with an otherworldly energy. The air was thick with an unknown scent, and the dim light cast eerie shadows that danced along the walls. Travis's mind raced as he tried to comprehend the nature of his surroundings. As he explored the craft, Travis stumbled into another room, one that seemed to serve a purpose. This room was more clinical in appearance, with a sterile, almost surgical ambiance. In the center of the room stood a table, surrounded by an array of strange instruments and devices. Before he could process what he was seeing, he felt a sudden, overwhelming sense of drowsiness wash over him. His legs gave way and he collapsed onto the table, unable to resist the force that seemed to sap up his strength. As he lay there, his vision blurred and his consciousness began to fade. It was then that the beings returned, their presence palpable even in his weakened state. They moved with a precision that suggested a purpose, as if they were following a predetermined protocol. Travis's fear intensified as he felt their cold, unyielding touch on his skin. They began to examine him, using instruments that emitted soft, pulsating lights and gentle hums, very similar to the spacecraft. He felt a series of probing sensations as they were scanning his body with an advanced form of technology. The examination was invasive, yet strangely devoid of pain. It was as if they were able to manipulate his sensations, numbing any discomfort. Throughout the procedure, Travis remained conscious but unable to move. His mind was a whirlwind of fear and confusion, but he could sense the being's methodical approach. They communicated in a way that transcended language, their intentions and actions conveyed through an unspoken understanding. Despite the alien nature of the experience, there was an eerie sense of calm that filled the room. As the examination continued, Travis's thoughts began to drift. Memories of his life on Earth, his friends, and his family surfaced on his mind, intermingling with the surreal reality of his current predicament. He struggled to hold on to his sense of identity, clinging to the hope that he would somehow find a way to escape. Suddenly, this sensation ceased, and Travis felt a grip of unconsciousness release its hold on him. The beings stepped back. Their examination was complete. Without warning, Travis found himself once again in the dimly lit room where he had first awakened. He was alone, the beings having retreated to some unknown part of the craft. Gathering his strength, Travis managed to stand, his legs still unsteady beneath him. The air was still thick with that unknown scent he had noticed earlier. The dim light cast a long shadow that seemed to shift and move around the room. He searched for an exit, driven by an instinctive need to escape this nightmarish place. In his disoriented state, Travis stumbled upon a corridor that led to what appeared to be an exit hatch. As he approached the hatch, it opened, revealing the dark, star-filled expanse of the space beyond. Just for a brief moment, he was overcome by the sheer vastness of the universe, the realization that he was very far from home. Then, in an instant, he was enveloped by a blinding light, and the next thing he knew, he was lying on the cold ground outside. The craft had vanished, leaving no trace of its presence. Travis was alone, disoriented, and overwhelmed by the enormity of what he had just experienced. As he struggled to make sense of his surroundings, he realized he was near the town of Heber, Arizona, miles away from where he had last been seen by his crew. Dazed and confused, he managed to find a nearby payphone and called for help. When his friends arrived, they were shocked by his appearance and the sheer terror etched on his face. In the days that followed, Travis recounted his experience to those who would listen, but unfortunately, his story was met with skepticism and disbelief. The examination and the beings he described defied all conventional understandings, leaving many to question the validity of his account. Yet for Travis, the experience was all too real, a haunting memory that would forever alter his perception of reality. The story of Travis Walton's alleged abduction by extraterrestrial beings quickly became a media sensation, capturing the public's imagination and thrusting the small town of Snowflake, Arizona, into the national spotlight. News outlets across the country seized upon the dramatic and the mysterious nature of the incident. eager to report on what was being told as one of the most credible and well-documented UFO abduction cases of all time. In the days following Walton's return, reporters and journalists flocked to Snowflake seeking interviews with Travis, his family, and the logging crew. The story appeared on the front news of pages and in primetime television segments, sparking a wave of interest in UFOs and extraterrestrial encounters. The media coverage ranged from sensational headlines to more sober and investigative pieces, each contributing to the growing public fascination of the case. Television programs and talk shows featured segments on Walton's abduction, often inviting experts and skeptics to debate Travis's account. The incident was also covered by prominent UFO researchers and enthusiasts, who viewed it as a significant event in the extraterrestrial phenomena. The intense media scrutiny not only brought widespread attention to the case, but also ignited a broader conversation about the possibility of alien life and its interactions with humanity. Despite the ongoing media interest and the compelling nature of Walton's story, the public reaction was far from unanimous. Skepticism and doubt surrounded Travis's account of the abduction. Many questioned the validity of his claims. Critics argued that the story was too fantastical to be believed, and some speculated that it was an elaborate hoax orchestrated by Walton and his crew. Scientific skeptics weighed in on the debate, highlighting the lack of evidence to support the claims of an alien abduction. They pointed out the inconsistencies in the crew's testimonies and suggested that the psychological factors, such as hallucinations or group hysteria, could explain the incident. Additionally, some skeptics raised concerns about the potential for financial gain, noting that Walton's story had the potential to attract lucrative book deals and media appearances. The authorities conducted thorough investigations, including polygraph tests administered among the logging crew and Travis Walton. While the polygraph results indicated that the men were truthful in their accounts, these tests were not enough for the critics. They remained unconvinced, arguing that polygraphs and the results could be influenced by various factors. Amidst the skepticism, Walton's story continued to provoke debate and discussions, with detractors and believers passionately defending their respective viewpoints. The controversy surrounding the case highlighted the broader societal divide on the topic of UFOs and extraterrestrial encounters, a debate that persists to this day, which you can see in social media with the current drone situation. Amidst the skepticism and controversy, Travis Walton found a significant base of support from the UFO researchers, enthusiasts, and members of the broader paranormal community. Prominent figures in the field of ufology viewed Walton's account as a credible and compelling case, one that added weight to the growing body of evidence supporting the existence of extraterrestrial life. One of Walton's most biggest supporters was Jerome Clark, a respected UFO researcher and author. Clark conducted extensive interviews with Walton and his crew, documenting their accounts and analyzing the details of the incident. He championed Walton's story, arguing that it represented a genuine and significant encounter with extraterrestrial beings. Additionally, Travis's account gained the attention of Dr. J. Allen Hynek, a former astronomer and scientific advisor to the U.S. Air Force Project Blue Book. Hynek, who became an advocate for serious scientific inquiry into UFO phenomena, expressed interest in Walton's case and supported further investigation into the incident. Travis's book, Fire in the Sky, which detailed his abduction experience, gained significant attention and further cemented his place in UFO lore. This book was later adapted into a feature film of the same name, bringing his story to even a wider audience and solidifying its impact on popular culture. UFO organizations and support groups rallied around Walton, providing a platform for him to share his experiences and connect with others who claim to have had similar encounters. Conferences and symposiums dedicated to UFO phenomena often featured Walton as a keynote speaker, where he recounted his harrowing ordeal and engaged with both believers and skeptics. The unwavering support from the UFO community provided Travis with a sense of validity and solidarity. Despite the public skepticism and the scrutiny he faced, Walton stuck by his account, convinced of the reality of his experiences. His story continues to be the touchstone in the study of UFO abductions, inspiring ongoing research and debate. In recent years, the resurgence of interest in UFOs and government disclosures about unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, have brought renewed attention to Walton's abduction. The publications of reports by government agencies acknowledging the existence of unexplained aerial encounters has prompted some to revisit the case with fresh perspectives. While the controversy and skepticism surrounding his story seems to persist, the broader context of UFO research continues to evolve, adding new dimensions to this discussion. As we come to a conclusion in this episode of What Dwells Beneath, I would like to give my personal thoughts. I believe that Travis Walton's experience could have indeed involved extraterrestrial entities. His detailed account, coupled with the corroborating testimonies of his crew, suggests that something extraordinary occurred that night in the forest. While skepticism is natural, the consistency and intensity of Walton's story lend it a certain credibility that is hard to dismiss outright. However, the true nature of what happened to Travis Walton remains a mystery known only to him and his crew. The abduction phenomenon is a complex and sometimes multifaceted topic that continues to provoke debate and intrigue. As we explore these unexplained events, it is essential to keep an open mind and consider all possibilities, even those that challenge our conventional understanding of reality. Now, one thing I would like to point out, there is a chance that Travis Walton was knocked unconscious by something that we don't understand, and his personal experience led to something called sleep paralysis. However, we will discuss sleep paralysis in depth in another episode. As we close this episode, I'd love to hear from you, our listeners. What are your thoughts on Travis Walton's abduction? Do you believe he was taken by extraterrestrial beings, or do you have a different perspective on the events? If you're listening on Spotify, you can go ahead and comment your thoughts there. But if not, share your experiences, theories, and thoughts with us on our social media platforms or through our Discord. We have a link to all of those in the episode description. And the Discord has over 2,000 members, growing every day, and we even have sections for episode discussions and personal encounter submissions. Your stories and insights enrich our community and help us dive deeper into the mysteries we explore. Don't forget to rate and follow What Dwells Beneath for more episodes filled with true crime and paranormal tales that challenge the boundaries of our understanding. By following, you will stay up to date on our latest episodes and be part of our journey into the unknown. If you want more content from me, Perzival, please consider checking out my gaming channels. My YouTube is Perzival GG and my Twitch is just Perzival. Links for those will also be in the episode description as well. Thank you for tuning into this episode. Your support and engagement means the world to us, and we appreciate you joining us for this exploration of the extraordinary and the unexplained. And thank you, Neku, the producer, for helping put together such an amazing show. In our next episode, we will dive into another chilling tale that blurs the lines between reality and the supernatural. Make sure to tune in for a journey into the heart of one of the most documented hauntings in history. Until then, keep your eyes on the skies and your mind open to the possibilities. Remember, sometimes the most unsettling mysteries are not the ones that dwell in the dark corners of the world, but those that exist just beyond the veil of our understanding. Stay curious and keep exploring the unknown. I'm your host, Perzival, and this has been What Dwells Beneath.